All right, you're looking at the live shot of Alaska, waiting for the two world leaders to come out. Both podiums right there. You see the flags, both flags, Russian and American flag on both sides, flanking the podiums. When they are finished with the meeting, they're going to come out and let us know what is going on. All right, in the meantime, we've all had moments when we stop and ask, is this the best version of my life? Many people are living with chronic health issues, but cellular hydration can lead to reversing ailments, getting off medications, losing fat, and even restoring energy. You can see amazing changes in just 5 days. That's right, just 5 days. Energize Health created the My 555 challenge, and it starts today. There are plenty of plans out there, but most people quit because they feel overwhelmed or unsupported. VIP experience inside the 555 challenge sets you up for success. You'll receive personal coaching and a device to help you measure your hydration. Join 555 challenge at my555challenge.com. $5 a day. Just $5 in fact to get started. And if you're ready for personal coaching, real tools, and the ability to measure your hydration, upgrade to the VIP experience and the transformation for yourself you will see. It's a 5-day experience. It starts Monday. Register now at my555challenge.com. All right, let's jump back with Lara Logan, who, again, one of the premier journalists the world has ever seen. Good friend of mine as well. Lara, it's just you're just showing your brilliance on my show, and I'm very happy you're doing it with us. So let's jump back into Ukraine. Now, we have this idea of poor Ukraine, poor Ukraine. I mean, no one wants to see death, starvation, young people dying. Got it. However, the history of Ukraine prior to this, people need to, let's not forget, Burisma was a Ukrainian oil and gas company that paid Hunter Biden hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to come be on their board with no gas experience whatsoever. Joe Biden threatened the Ukrainian people with $1 billion check that they was going to leave unless they fired the investigator that was investigating Burisma and his own son. The corruption, that's just the tip of the spear of the corruption that the Ukrainian people have been a part of, like it or not, for decades. Lara, you know more about this than I do.
Well, I might not know more, but you know what? I do know a lot because of John Solomon's reporting. Because if you remember, I would urge everybody to go back to John Solomon's original reporting and Rudy Giuliani. The work that Rudy Giuliani did to expose that video and expose what Biden was doing when he was saying, if you don't do this, I'm not giving you the money, right? And then they tried to say it was because Biden was trying to clean up corruption in Ukraine. And remember, there were all these meetings of Ukrainian officials coming to the White House, and the White House held this summit where there was anti-corruption, and they were training and teaching people in Ukrainian government and positions of power, how to avoid corruption and all this other stuff. And you're like, there's corruption all over the world. Why is it that there are actual meetings and a summit at the White House that is teaching Ukrainians about anti-corruption? I mean, the whole thing just stunk. And if you remember the U.S. ambassador, the Ukrainian ambassador to the U.S. in the 2016 election campaign, he did something unusual, Eric, which was he wrote an op-ed for the paper basically saying that Ukraine stood by Hillary Clinton and that if Donald Trump was elected, it would be a disaster for U.S.-Ukrainian relationships. Now, I point this out particularly because, everybody screamed about diplomatic protocol when Trump was in office. But this was a complete violation of diplomatic protocol, that a foreign ambassador for a foreign nation would take steps to interfere in an American election, in the election of a foreign country where you have an embassy. I mean, that is a big no-no in international politics and diplomacy worldwide. So why was it that it was the Ukrainian ambassador? It wasn't anybody else. And remember Alexander Chalupa? Remember the Democratic operative that was very much involved in the Ukraine conspiracy? And remember, it was John Solomon's reporting that exposed much of this. And that's why when they had the fake sham impeachment, Ukrainian impeachment scandal, who was it that they excoriated on the floor of the House? It was John Solomon, because his reporting was 100% accurate, and he brought receipts. And what did he expose? Remember that horrible woman, Maria Yovanovitch, who was the ambassador to Ukraine under under Obama? I get them confused, of course, for obvious reasons. But when Trump won the election, John Solomon reported that she basically told the Ukrainians, you don't have to worry about Donald Trump. He's not the real president of the United States. Basically, we're still running the show, right? And what did he expose, John Solomon, in his reporting? Emails where it wasn't just Joe Biden, they used him as a puppet, but the people who were really pulling the strings on who was to be investigated for corruption and who wasn't in Ukraine was, guess who? I know you're going to be shocked. Yes, George Soros and the Open Society Foundation. They were directing meetings that were being held in the Ukrainian embassy. They were present in those meetings at the Ukrainian embassy. They were giving lists, right? They actually gave a list that Maria Yovanovitch handed over to the Ukrainians and said, this is who we want you to investigate for corruption and who we don't want you to investigate, if I remember correctly. So, and John Solomon at Just the News, he put all these original source documents and emails and everything, he put it on the website so people can go and see that themselves. And I just want to really draw attention here to why this meeting today is so historic, is look what the Open Society Foundation was doing. An NGO was running U.S. government policy using not only taxpayer money, but using taxpayer resources. The embassy of the United States in the Ukraine, the ambassador, and none of whom were being loyal to the newly elected president. In fact, they were encouraging a foreign nation to work against the president, to actually be co-conspirators with them in a seditious conspiracy. And let's not forget that wormy little worthless spy, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, who was testifying on the floor of the House, what did he do? He used that opportunity, that testimony, to admit that he had broken the law. And the Democrats knew exactly what they were doing here, because when he said he had been approached by the government of Ukraine to be a very senior member, I think it was their Minister of Defense, and he had never reported that contact. Let me tell you, when you hold a security clearance and you wear a uniform or you're a diplomat in service of the United States in a country like Ukraine, in a foreign nation, you are required by law to report all of that. Why? Because it's a little thing called counterintelligence. It's about making sure that you really are working for us and you're not working for somebody else. So why did they never want Trump to meet with Putin? Because all of these lies, this seditious conspiracy that was created to bring down Donald Trump, all these things, the money laundering, the nonsense with Hunter Biden and Burisma, all of that. Look at his former partner, Tony, was it Babalinsky? I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yes.
Yeah. Remember how they went after him? Because there is so much corruption. There's so much money laundering in Ukraine. There's they use it for child trafficking. This has been one of the worst areas in the history of the world, Eric. It is absolutely shameful, the networks that run through Ukraine. When you see the deep state pushing money forward to Ukraine, it's because they're protecting their interests. They don't care about the Ukrainian people. They don't care about them one bit. But, I know you want to ask a question. But
I want to agree with you. I want to agree with you.
Remember the color revolution. Let's talk about that at some point.
We shall. The deep state, yes, but also usaID was complicit in this, and that's why the Democrats...
They're part of the deep state.
Correct. But that's why the Democrats were so pissed off when Trump came in and said, no more usaID, we're shutting them down. That was their funding apparatus to do exactly what you were talking about, to launder all this money. And then who knows, follow the money, always follow the money. Look, I got to take a quick break. You're going to stay with us, come back on the backside of this break. We'll be back 2.5, folks.